Welcome back, and with us live now over the phone, His Excellency Ambassador Medhat El Melegy is Egypt's ambassador to Cameroon. Good morning, Your Excellency.
Good morning. I was the former ambassador of Egypt to
Former
Cameroon.
ambassador to Cameroon. Good morning, Your Excellency. How are you
Good
doing,
morning.
sir? First of all, how do you weigh the bank's role in supporting Africa's sustainable development and growth?
Well, we have all to say that the bank has, an important role in many African countries, and it has been playing ever since its inauguration long ago. That it has been playing a very important role in various African countries to accompany them in their development and in their sustainable projects in various countries. We have to see the figures of the bank's involvement in various African countries to understand this. But having said that, we have to also to emphasize the importance of the green energy that we are talking about, the green growth in Africa that the bank is supporting right now. So, we have to look at the bank with this new role and see how it would work.
Exactly. So during his opening speech at this year's annual meeting of the African Development Bank Group, the President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the head of state, he pointed out that Africa needs unconventional ideas and financing solutions to address the important issues in Africa. What's your intake on this?
Well, we have to understand that Egypt is accrediting a very big importance to green growth in Egypt and in Africa as well. We have to remember that Egypt hosted in last November COP27, and the main theme was how can we speak on behalf of African country that is actually paying the heaviest price concerning the transformation into green energy and so on. So Egypt took a vow to speak on behalf of African country to the rest of the world, especially the developed world, to help Africans to overcome these obstacles that we are suffering from right now. And the bank is one of the important tools that could help us. The African Bank of Development is one of the most important tools that could help African countries to overcome these hurdles, as we just mentioned.
Right. You kindly mentioned at the beginning the bank's role in supporting and empowering the green economy and the state's intention and concern to be able to turn its economy into a green one with all its mean. So, especially after a successful round of a COP27 conference that was held in Sharm el-Sheikh and was reviewed by the whole world as one of the most successful conferences that was held on exploring ways to find means of standing up to the climate challenge, the climate change challenge. So exactly what could be the steps taken by the bank in his role to support and empower the green economy, and to also support means to stand to the negative consequences of climate change?
Well, let's not just overwhelm the bank with what he can do. Actually, the bank is a financing tool, but when it comes to the project that we need, it's actually up to the African countries to decide what are the projects that are in need for each and every country, especially that all African countries do not have the same demands or the same needs. So I think it's up to every country to formulate the way that it wants the bank to help the country to advance and to empower itself. So I think Egypt can help in this with collaborating with the rest of the African countries to formulate those ideas, and then will come the role of the bank to finance these ideas. And I think that if we come up with good projects that will actually make us reach our goals in green economy and green energy, then the bank will definitely help.
Right. Your Excellency, you are a former ambassador of Egypt to the Cameroon, and your nobody could better talk to us about the leading role Egypt have been playing in Africa to be able to take guidelines to support other countries ever since it assumed the chairmanship of the African Union. So talk to us about the continuous efforts taken by Egypt and the government of Egypt, according to the directives of President Abdel Fattah Sisi, to be able to support the acceleration of African nations' economic development.
Well, actually, I mean, this is a topic that is going to take very long to talk about. I mean, Egypt's involvement in Africa ever since to help those countries to reach their independence in the 60s and all the way up to today. I mean, it's a long list, but let's focus on one thing right now. I mean, Egypt, when we held in Sharm el-Sheikh the COP27, President Sisi mentioned clearly that he wants to be the voice of Africa in this international forum. And now that the bank is having its annual meetings here in Egypt, shows once again the importance that the bank is giving to Egypt to host its meeting here. And most importantly, that the ideas that was formulated by the Egyptian experts and, of course, the various Egyptian organizations that took part in the conference shows the devotion and the commitment of Egypt to continue the road with its brothers and sisters in Africa. The most important thing is for the African countries to speak for themselves and to formulate the projects they want. They can use the Egyptian expertise to reach these projects and to formulate it in the best way the bank could help. And then the role of the bank will come to make these, let's say, dreams come true. The most important thing is for us to reach what we want and to ask for it, and then the other will follow. But Egyptian commitment, we don't need to talk about it here today. I mean, it has been clear over the years, but this is just one new step on the road.
Right. The theme of the 2023 annual meeting is mobilizing private sector financing for climate and green growth in Africa. So this year's meeting is providing a framework for bank group governors to share their experience and meet and galvanize private financing domestically and also internationally, and harness natural capital to bridge the climate finance gap and promote also transition to green growth in Africa. How important is following the footsteps of successful experiences, but at the same time take the experience that is fit for each country? There are some experiences that could be so rich and successful but not necessarily fit for another country. So do you agree or no? How important is the successful experience?
This is what I mentioned a few minutes ago when I said that each and every country in Africa has its own needs and specificity. So accordingly, they will have different projects than the neighboring country. But I think that the most important thing this year conference or meeting showed is the new slogan, which is mobilizing the private sector this time. So now the governments are saying that we want to work hand in hand with the private sector and not just as governments together. So now I think there is a new element added to the equation, which is the importance and the involvement of the private sector to work for the same slogan and target, which is financing the climate and green growth. So now we have to see and we have to work on what has been said to mobilize the private sector now. So I think this is going to be very individual. I mean, each country will work with its own private sector to try to see how the private sector can finance and can help to achieve the goals. Egypt, from its side, can help because we have a long experience with the partnership between the private sector and the governmental sector. And I think we can help also other African countries to formulate this new idea, which is the combination between the two sectors together in order to promote development in each and every country of Africa.
Right. Talking about the theme for 2023, do you think it's enough to offer an opportunity for governors to discuss Africa's challenges in attracting the private sector while it finances the low carbon investments?
I don't get this question, please, if you could repeat it.
I was talking about the theme of 2023
Yes.
for these meetings. Do you think it could be a good opportunity for the governors who are meeting and gathered to discuss Africa's challenges in attracting the private sector financing the low carbon investments?
I think that what was important this time is this new formula that was shown to the African countries, that we have to have this partnership between the private and the public sector, and it's up now to every country to go back with these recommendations and start to work with its own private sector to see how it's going to be able to help. I think that the most important thing for us as Egyptians is to see how we can help the African countries to achieve this. We can help them to reach that, since, I mean, based on our own experience in this domain. But this is the maximum we could do, since each African country has to discuss its own needs with its own private sector.
Right. We are talking about this annual meeting, and also at a time that there is a military conflict between Russia and Ukraine. We were witnessing a pandemic of almost more than 4 years. We also are witnessing economic crisis worldwide, food scarcity, water scarcity that could be expected. I mean, talking about so many crises worldwide, but still, there are hopes for a prosperous future. If
Well,
we
not
could
just the
organize
future.
our lives and take it on a wise way and follow the footsteps of successful experiences.
Well,
What's your
follow
intake on this?
well, follow the Egyptian model. I mean, during the pandemic, and even with the war in Ukraine and Russia and all these going on, Egypt has managed to a certain level to maintain a high growth in development. So I think what is needed is to work on what we have right now. We have a good opportunity. The bank, African bank, even many Western countries wants to help the African countries to overcome the problems caused by this. So it's an opportunity that is being presented to us. We have just to seize it. I mean, we have seen many conferences before in various domains, and we didn't take the best out of it. So I think now it's the time to start work. We have a new theme, which is the green growth, and we have new idea, a new strategy, which is to involve the private sector. What's left is to take these ideas and to formulate them into reality. And I think that the African countries are capable of doing that if they could just focus on the ideas that was just mentioned and work with it.
Right, Your Excellency, Ambassador Medhat El Melegy, former ambassador, Egypt's ambassador to Cameroon. Thank you so much for talking to the Breakfast Show. And by this, we come to the end of the show for today. Many thanks to all of you. And until we see you again tomorrow morning, that's a goodbye.